this liberal takeover started back in the 1970s after the civil rights movement ended. And John F. Kennedy, Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, Medgar Evers were all assassinated. The takeover started in the 1970s, and it destroyed the image of man in the woman's eyes and took over the family unit, the household. And it started in the black community after the civil rights movement in 1970. The state went into the households and forced the woman to remove the man from the household. And when she kicked her husband or boyfriend out, what replaced that was a welfare check.
In any given month, there are about 450,000 families drawing welfare checks in California. Every 2 weeks, the mailman delivers a check to the home of Cynthia Jones. She, her husband, and 2 children collect $423 a month. Mrs. Jones has been on welfare nearly 4 years. Her husband has not worked since last December. Twice a month, she follows the same routine. First, she cashes the check at the supermarket, then goes to another part of town to purchase food stamps, $71 worth every month. The stamps buy $170 worth of groceries. There's rent, about $170. Utilities run $45, and she has a small insurance policy on her 3-year-old daughter. Other expenses eat up the rest.
The state gave her a welfare check and started to provide for the woman and the children what the man could not provide anymore because he was no longer in the household. So before that, there was a unit, a family unit, that all other units follow, and that is the family unit, where the man was the lead in the family, and then the woman was second in command, and then the children followed suit. So the man was the director of the family. He provided income and protection for the family, and the woman took care of things on the inside of the household, which, nurturing the children, feeding them, and taking care of them inside. Her position was very, very important to the civilization, and the man's was very important, and the children were very important. So the whole family unit was structured. And so the children looked to the parents, the mother and the father, for support. And they honored the mother and father, and passed those traditional values, traditional conservative values, on to their children, and so forth down the family tree. So if the father is no longer in the household, who will provide for the mother and the children? Well, the state provided for the mother and the children and provided a welfare check, as I said before. And that started the destruction and breakdown of the family after the civil rights movement. So the state now can infiltrate the family because the moral code is no longer there without the father, the one who was there to kind of discern things and filter out things and then give it to the family as after it was filtered. That's when it was a family structure where the mother and the children looked up to the man and the father in the household for moral support. That idea has been destroyed today, and it gives everyone and individuals the power to discern and filter things out on their own. So if you, whatever filtering and discerning abilities you have will decide your fate. If you don't have very good discerning or filtering abilities, that will decide your fate. You'll see down the line what your outcomes will be based off of the intellect, intelligence, and awareness you have in your mind. But when the father was in the household, he did that for the family, so to protect them, and they followed suit and they honored him. So now, if he's no longer in the household, the state takes over and they can implant ideologies in the mother's head and the children. They made the mother the power structure of the household after the 1970s. She took over and she kicked the man out of the household, and the man was replaced with a welfare check. And then protection from outside invaders was no longer up to the man of the household. The state provided that with police and child protective services and things of that nature. The human service field was created then. So the woman is actually the helper in the household. So she helped the man implement his design and what he thought was good for the family. So if the man is no longer in the household, the state is the one now that is the leader, and the woman in the household is helping the state implement its design. And that design that the state is directing the mother to implement is passed on to the children, and so on and so forth down the line, the family tree, up until today in 2023. So this day we see now before us is a direct result of the family being broken down after the civil rights movement of the late 1960s. And 1970 is when it started to destroy the idea of family. So today the state can implement any idea into the mother's head because she is the helper, and the mother will direct that to her children because she is a helper. She is also, trying to protect the children. So she's going to, whatever she's doing to protect the children. So if the man is no longer in the household, he is no longer there to protect the family. So the state takes over. And what you see is a breakdown of that family dynamic, only to be rebuilt to the likes of the state. The state now implements their design and creates the family any kind of way they choose. This leads to the current agenda of the establishment and the acceptance of everything by way of laws and governance. They will have people accepting everything they can imagine in their minds. So this agenda is supposed to make everything more accepting, and I believe it's supposed to aid in the mental health epidemic and the suicide epidemic by allowing people to be accepted, whatever whatever vices they have, whatever way they're born. Years ago, society would not accept them based on their behavior. So a lot of mental disorders were created out of that non-acceptance of behavior. So now in 2023, there is a lot of accepting of behavior. At once, it was put in the DSM that homosexuality was a mental disorder, and then it was taken out in the mid 70s, and it is no longer a mental disorder. And there are hundreds of different disorders in the DSM now, and I think based on history that those disorders will follow suit in the same way that homosexuality was taken out of the DSM and not deemed a disorder any longer. These uh, disorders will systematically be taken out of the DSM and no longer seen as a disorder. And one of those is pedophilia, um, liking children. The pedophiles these days are basically going to follow suit in the same likes as um, the lesbians and gays of the 1970s. That will They will use the same strategies that they used in the past to usher in this day and allow the pedophiles to have the same protections as the lesbians and gays. So I see a pattern happening. So down the line, it will allow for other uh, uh, groups to be legitimized. Specific behaviors that were not tolerated years ago will now be accepted and governed by the state. And I see this being catapulted forward by the catalyst liberals. The liberals are moving this forward and catapulting these behaviors into a new day that the state has designed. And conservatism will take the back seat for a more accepting future.